Hello, folks. Thrash Bondo here. I think I'm live, or at least I'm Memorex. Had some electrical storms in the area, but we seem to be doing okay now. Um, I'd ask how my sound and picture is, but at the moment I'm the only one on, so I'll have to wait for someone to come on. And oh, look who's here! It's Wake Up, Set Your Sights says hello. Well, Wake Up, Set Your Sights. Hello to you as well. Welcome to the live chat. Dan, the breaking news man, says hi. And a hi to you as well. Keith E says hello, hello, and hello to you too. Oh, and by the way, yes, as I was just saying, some nasty electrical storms in this area. Not too bad where I am, but there was so much flooding over by the bridges they actually had to close um, access to one of them. So yes, some nasty weather, and we're keeping an eye on that mega hurricane heading our way too. Hopefully, most of the spaghetti models doesn't show it hitting us. So we're gonna have to think positively. Zooplik says good evening. Good evening to you too. Zoop Tug says good greetings and speculations. And greetings and spatulations to you as well. Michael's Drones and RCs here. He says, hello, Thrash Pondo. Mike, how you doing? So good to see you, by the way. Hey, great toys you got from your fan, by the way. That was awesome. Sean Ennis is here. He says, hey. Wajimeen says, hello, everyone, specifically Tug and Sean. Keithy says, fog in the morning is supposed to be a nightmare. Um, possibly will be, but I just pretend I'm in a Stephen King novel. Tug says, hope the electric zombies don't get anywhere near you. Well, if I suddenly go dead, we'll all know why. Danny Skate says, greetings from South Carolina, and greetings to you too, Danny, by the way. So nice to see you. Tebs is here. Trill Eugene Bellinger says, hello, Thrash. Hello, you, Tebs. So good to have you with us. Dan says, early trivia, what is Clark Griswold's middle name? I've heard it, but I don't know. A good question though. Gary Cameron says, "Hey there, everyone! I'm back. So glad you could make it today, Gary. Excellent. Oh, and you're welcome, Michael. A lot of people having fellowship saying hello to everybody. Wake up says, is it W? W Griswold? I don't know. Um, but that's a good guess. Keithy says maybe Godzilla's hiding in the fog by the lighthouse. Wouldn't that be a kick? The lighthouse is actually, um, I'm sorry, the foghorn is actually the Bradbury short story Godzilla is adapted from. Gary Garber says, in your dreams, bub. Oh, Wilhelm Griswold. Oh, I almost said Walter, but Clark Wilhelm Griswold. Very, very good. Darrell Johnson is used as Bob. Darrell, so good to see you. And I'm just skipping down a lot of people saying hello to Jerry. Oh, Michael says, just a reminder, everyone in the chat, please do not forget to smash that like button for our awesome host, Thrash Pondo. Thank you. Michael, very well said. Thank you very much, Michael. Oh, and by the way, Danny, since you're here, by the way, please drop links to all your channels. And while you're at it, drop links for Michael's drones, please. Wajameen, Tug, and anyone else who I may have already missed. Say the Pod Blast. Although the Pod Blast just got here. Hello, Pod Blast. And he says, welcome all. Big guy says, hi. He says, I mean, hi, yo. Welcome, hi. Any type of opening salutation is more than appreciated. Wake Up says, I think Clark just had 3 other sets of kids without Ellen knowing. That's why they were all different. And in one installment, Christmas Vacation, the daughter is actually older than the son. Which, so it's like even there's even time slips involved. Although, little known secret, I am a very distant cousin of Miss Barron, who was the daughter in the first um, um, National Lampoon's Vacation. I'm so embarrassed I can't think of her first name at the moment, but her last name is Barron, and Barron was my grandfather's family name. And I've never actually spoken to her, but I found out actually we share lineage to Barron's magazine, both of us, which makes us very distant cousins. Oh, Indy Spouts is here. Says the foghorn was Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, not Godzilla. Indy, you're slipping. Okay, as you well may know, Foghorn was the conceptualization, the baseline, the story that Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was adapted from. Godzilla is a shameless rip-off of the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. As I'm sure you know, initially the monster in the Godzilla movie wasn't supposed to be a sea dragon. It was supposed to be a big mushroom thing, sort of like the monsters in Matango. But they thought that might be too disturbing for audiences who remembered the initial attacks against Japan. So they decided to. They said, "Hey, check out this great movie with a dinosaur slash sea dragon. When we use that." So yes, Godzilla is, I don't want to say ripped off of, but loosely based on Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which in and of itself was based on the Foghorn. So there's all these interconnections, which later became the basis for Gorgo, which is a British ripoff of the Japanese film, which later became uh, Gappa, which was the Japanese ripoff of the English ripoff. So there was a lot of borrowing, as it were. And I'm already appallingly behind. Wow. Holy cow. I'm going to try to skip down to catch up here. I'm going to skip a lot of people saying hello, hello, hello. Big Guys 45 says, anybody here remember the song Sweet Little Louie by Ironhouse and Saturday Night by Herman Brood? Both are from 1979. Great pop rock songs. They sound familiar. I can't believe them off the top of my head. But Karen Lee Maloney is here, by the way. Karen Lee, so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back, dear friend. So good to have you back. Tug says, Sensitive property, Foghorn to the Beast, Beast to Godzilla. You said in 3 arrows what it took me a half an hour to say. So thank you very, very, very much. John Innes says, hey, Daryl, sorry, delay. I'm stuffing my face. Nom nom. Excellent. Jay-Z is here, says, so happy Russell Wilson lost again. I will commiserate. Let's just see here. Karen Lee says, good evening, Bob. I'm going to try to skip ahead because I'm kind of, whoops a daisy. I think I went way too far there. There we are. Good evening, Bob. There it is. Les Javen says, Gary Carpenter, where have you been? He missed last week, I know, but he's been here prior to that, rather faithfully. Keith says, I truly appreciate the hellos, but I'm never going to be able to enter the moon. Just know I appreciate it. Well, you will always be welcome here, and we do appreciate. Oh, by the way, Tom the Hungry Jerk is here in spirit. He's working at the time. He always works on Sunday nights, but he wanted us to know that he will be here just listening. Oh, House of Alex and Baked Bean. I don't know if they're gonna be able to make it tonight, but you guys are great as always. Lisa Fields, Cindy D, Music Girl 67. If you're watching in replay, welcome to the party replay, but I understand if you guys can't make it. Dan says Dana Barron. Thank you, Dana Barron. Yes, that's the young lady's name. Podless says, what is or was for dinner, everyone? I had chicken sandwiches, by the way. I had some roast chicken, and I was kind of running late, so I didn't really have time to cook, so I had roast chicken sandwiches. Indy Spout says, I only count direct adaptations, not ripoffs. It's my pesky value system. Fair enough. But I needed you to know what my thought process was. But I will honor your. Oh, and by the way, did you go and check out my Robert Heinlein post. If you did, great. If you didn't, do so when you get a chance. In fact, everyone, I did what I thought I'm very proud of. It's an older post, but it's a post I did on A Stranger in a Strange Land. And since I recently found out Indy Spoats is an avid Robert Heinlein fan, I thought he might enjoy it. Let's see. Daryl had pork chops and applesauce. Oh, yeah, pork chops and applesauce. Zublik says, "What kind of monster is a mushroom that is as frightening as a flower? Have you seen Matango?" Movie scared the bee gees out of me when I was a kid. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. If I do miss you, please forgive me. Oh, Kenneth Wilkinson is here. Ken Wilkinson, he says hello. Ken, so glad to see you. Um, I don't want to report. Gosh darn it. If I accidentally block somebody, forgive me. Pablo says, "You're welcome. Thanks for the great content. Please keep it coming to Tug." And Ash Rar Army says, "Hello. Hello, Ash Rar Army. Welcome to the party." Tug had baked ziti. Sounds delicious. Ooh, Pablo said barbecue. Yumsville. Um, And let's just see. Alen says hit the like button. Karen Lee says teriyaki noodles and chicken. Sounds good. Andy Spout says, "I can't find your Heinlein post on your site. What playlist is it under?" I don't think it's on my playlist, any of the playlists. It would be under my posts, my videos. I'm trying to think approximately when I did it. But just the thumbnail is me and Marvin the Martian sharing water. I could try to send you a link to it, but yeah, I don't know if I added that one to a playlist. I should. I should compile more playlists. By the way, maybe I'll do that too. Tug says I didn't just hit the like button. I grokked it. It's pronounced grok. Yeah, you have to say grok as if you were a frog with a sore throat. It's like grok. But did you not see my post either? I'm kidding. I'm being a snot rag. Zubik says a mixture of cheese, ground beef, and ripe plantains. Oh, those little bananas. Cool. Wake Up says if you don't eat your meat, you won't get any pudding. How can you have no pudding if you don't eat your meat? You stand still, laddie. Love that movie. Joel Johnson's 3 more likes are needed at least. Gary Carter just finished his dinner. Les Javen says, "Wake the wall. Wake the wall. The waking wall." Dublik says, "Frankly, T-Pawns, we can do with less sci-fi." You know that's why this whole channel started, right? Les Javen says, "Thrash any word from Ian yet?" No. I'm still waiting with breath, which is bated. Found it from a year ago. We'll scope it out afterwards. No, take your time, by the way. And I do like the idea of putting on a playlist so more people can find it because I could put all my reviews on one place, particularly literary reviews, all in one playlist. That's a good idea. But yeah, when you get a second, I would love to know what you think. Pablo says, "Cool, Gary. Hope your meal was yummy." Zublik says, "We need more baseball trivia." I keep telling you, sports is my Achilles heel. I know more about Doppler weather reading than I do about sports. Wake Up says, "The Wall, Midsummer Night's Dream." Good double feature, I suppose. Gary Carpenter says, "I had Alfredo sauce shells with chopped turkey, dog, turkey, dog, and biscuits." I'm like, dog biscuits, blah, but it's turkey hot dogs. Now I'm with you. Sean, what's going on, man? Sean, so good. If you don't eat your meat, no fruit cup. Good old Cloris Leachman in High Anxiety. Yes. What is it? If you don't arrive promptly at 5 o'clock, you will go without fruit cup. And remember, she had that weird relationship with Harvey Korman. Get a truck. A big, big truck. Jay-Z says, when is Basketball 2 coming out? My understanding is that is still in pre-production hell, as it has been for 30 years now. Tim says, Thrash, what's the creepiest true paranormal story you've ever heard? Ooh, that sounds like an October post, but okay. Um, Creepiest paranormal story I ever heard. That's a good question. That's a good question. I would say, well, I would say this actually wouldn't affected me personally. My mother had a friend who claimed to be connected to the paranormal. And long story short, she had a brother who tragically died when he was very young, early 20s. And they had one little exposition here. They had a family carpentry business. So after her father passed, she and her brothers ran this carpentry business. And she had this weird dream one night. In the dream, she had gone home to see her mother. She was having coffee with her sister in law. And the sister in law says, Hey, do you want to go upstairs and see Peter? And she goes, Yeah, okay. In the context of the dream, they had turned the attic into a shrine for Peter, her late brother. And inside of a finished bed frame was his coffin. And they went and they were both lighting candles when the lid of the coffin popped open. And her brother, Peter, sat up in the coffin and he said, Hey, where's my dollar? And my mother's friend, we'll call her Joan for uh, protect the innocent. She goes, What are you talking about, Peter? It's right in your pocket. And the late brother reaches in his pocket and goes, Oh, okay, thanks, sorry. At this point, Joan goes, My brother's alive again. She runs down and get the mother, who in reality had also passed on at this point. Brings the mother upstairs and there's this blinding light and she wakes up. And she tells her sister this very odd story. And her sister's like, and Joan's like, What's wrong? No, no, tell me what's wrong. You're freaking me out. I'm going to get my husband. Had the husband come in. Now, bear in mind, the husband was one of the brothers who was running this carpentry business. Well, apparently, before Peter died, he and this other brother had placed a wager on who could build a bed frame faster. They bet $1. Peter had won the bet but never collected his winnings. So while they were having the wake, the brother very discreetly took $1 and put it in the lapel of the suit Peter was buried in. Hadn't told a soul this story apart from his wife. That's one of my favorite paranormal stories. Let me know what you think in the comments below. While you're doing that, I'm going to see just how far I slipped. Oh, actually, not too bad. I'm gonna have to skip through. Danny's giving links. Great. Um, Thank you for that. Gary Carpenter said thumbs down to Jay. Dan says R.I.P. Steve Harwell. We all know Thrash is an all-star. Thank you so much. It says, such as you really enjoyed It's a Wonderful Life, even though it did terrible at the box office. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Tonight's actual topic, if we ever get around to talking about it, is everyone's favorite movie that was actually very poorly performing in the box office. It could be a good movie, a bad movie, because there were a lot of good movies that just didn't do well in the box office due to bad marketing or poor reception from critics or even the audiences. But thank you for bringing that up. Indy Spouts and Superplex, who's the only player in Dodgers franchise history to win two NLRH's titles. Pablo says played the board game Scrabble today at mom and dad's house with mom. 4 games, she won 2, I won 2. Well played, well played. Nice, even Steven. Wake Up says The Ring was creepy, so was The Others. I loved both of those movies. I like the original Others, the one from like the early 70s. That one's great too. Keithy jumped off the page. I am going to go back and oh, there he is. I think everybody stopped and is listening to the conversation. Probably. I'd like to think it was a riveting story. God bless says to wake up. The ring is freaky when the girl gets. Yeah, it certainly is when she gets sucked into the TV. Gary Cameron says the Hollywood strike is still going on. Billy says don't know, but I figured Frank Howard and Duke Schneider. Emily Miller is here. Says hey all. Sorry I'm late. No, it's so nice. You're always on time, and whenever you get here is just fine with us. JC says the world needs Porky's 4. And Doug says the best box office bomb has to be The Thing, but I also love Toys, both Blade Runners and Dark City. All magnificent choices. Joe Jones says Big Trouble in Little China. Pablo says it was Angela Cartwright's 71st birthday this weekend. Me TV aired the very first episode of Lost in Space. What was the name of the space ape she had as a pet? Shana, this is interesting story, Thrash. I like the paranormal stories, but I don't really believe in them. It's a free country. That's not no. That's it. The story was true as it was told to me. But again, I understand if people don't buy into it. Emily says RHOS bombed at the box office, but I loved it. Kenneth Wilkinson says good evening, Emily. I'm glad to see you. Indy Spout says Tim Jordan, 1906, and you jumped off the page. 1908. It gets much worse. So Luke says favorite box office disaster is A Christmas Story. Great movie. I love that movie. Jay-Z said Toxic Avenger needs a reboot. It certainly does. And Len says, well, RNG was going to do a watch party with Soylent Green at 4 and nothing. Oh, perhaps she had some type of commitment or something. That's too bad. Tug says, honestly, most of John Carpenter's bombs would make the list. They certainly would. They live, certainly. Let's see. Dr. Dan 3. Hello, Dr. Dan 3. Welcome to the show. Dr. Dan 3 says, hello, everyone from Ottumwa, Iowa. Radar's hometown. Radar's fictional town and Tom Arnold's real hometown. I was going to say, I know Ottumwa was real. And Dave's here. Hey, Dave, what's going on? Like UHF, it was only in the theaters 2 weeks. I know. Oh, and Pablo got it right. Bloop. Bloop is the space ape that Angela Cartwright had as a pet. Although we never found out what happened to him. Dan says, with movies going straight to streaming, how can movies be judged by the box office sales like back in the day? You can't. Yeah, you can't. Wake Up says, Burnt Offerings had a low budget and didn't make it all back, but I loved it. Burnt Offerings is a scary atmospheric horror movie. Oliver Reed was great in that. Podbless says the bloop farted in the episode Lost in Space name episode. I did not know that. I agree. What do you mean? Says I agree with They Live to Podblast. Yeah, it's an excellent film. Oh, Lisa Fields. Speaking of Lisa Fields, Lisa Fields here. Hey, she says, hey, Thrash, and hey, everyone. Gary Gabbard says a bad movie at the box office is better on TV. Yeah, it is having like a watch party. Teb says, I remember when Hocus Pocus flopped at the box office because Disney released it in July instead of October, so that they didn't want to compete with Nightmare Before Christmas. That's silly, but I can see what that would do. Emily says eating wings, so my fingers are messy. We'll chat more when done. We'll understand. Sean Innes also likes Burnt Offerings, good performance, creepy story. Dr. Dan 3 says, very good. You pronounced Ottumwa. Thank you. I'm glad I pronounced it properly. Just gonna skipping down a lot of people. Oh, correct. Yes. I feel that's what you were trying to write. Dave says, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Attack. I even have the sequel. I have Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Part 2. with George Clooney. Indy Spelt says, I really like the bomb Streets of Fire, but for the love of me, I don't know why. Um, Great soundtrack. Um, Very slick Hopper-esque set designs. William Defoe makes a phenomenal villain. Diane Lane is super, super, super hot in it. What's not to love? Lynn Chafin said The Warriors. Danny Staten says the original Howling. How did that one do? I don't think it did particularly well. I think it did better on home video. Dan says some movies that are flops at the movies sometimes become classics or cult classics. They certainly do. They certainly do. Oh, Zuplik says, I enjoyed The Legend of Hell House. Great film. Great film. Indy's Mouth says, Howling earns 17 against 1. Lance Javen says, I'm having a chocolate cream pie with brownie chunks and whipped topping. Sounds like diabetes in a bowl. Podbless says, question, which Lost in Space episode did the bloop fart in? Answer, visit to the hostile planet. Smith is wearing a gas mask when it happens, and he says, how dare you? I did not know that. Shona says, Burgess Meredith, Karen Black, the character actor who was the chauffeur, Burnt Offerings. I think I'm the same age as the kid, and the scene where Oliver Reed tries to drown him scared me pretty good. It certainly did. It certainly did. The guy who played the creepy chauffeur is someone, and I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what else he was in. Thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, Burgess Meredith is in the very beginning. And let's just see what we got going on here. Wake Up says election was hilarious. Last great performance of Matthew Broderick. I'll buy that. Zubik says Lost Highway. Zubik, don't hate me. I tried twice to watch Lost Highway and fell asleep. I finally did get through it, and it's not a bad movie, but I never got past the fact that I fell asleep twice while trying to watch it. Gary Carver says, I can't believe that Halloween is almost here again. Zubik says Barton Fink. Pablo says season 3 episode of Lost in Space where the Robinsons go back to Earth. And Lance Chapin says, Lisa, it's from Marie Callender's. Ooh, I love Marie Callender's pies. Dan says Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 3 was called Ketchup. That's very, very witty. That's witty. Oh, Brogu's here. I must have bopped past him. Did I bop past him? Oh, there he is. Hello, everyone. And I did. I went right past. Gary Carpenter says Klinger was from Toledo, just as Jamie Farr was. I did not know Jamie Farr was actually from Toledo. A lot of people saying hi to Brogu. Gary Carpenter says Steve and Jamie were from, I'm going to butcher it, Ojia, California, and I thought it wasn't a real town. That's nothing. That's nothing. My kid brother came to visit me years ago, and he saw shirts that said Nantucket, and he started laughing, and I go, what's so funny? And he goes, oh, I thought that was made up in the show Wings. I thought that was just a made-up island. I go, Nantucket? No, Nantucket's a real island. Wake Up says, Anthony James, the killer, is the heat of the night. Oh! And I'm assuming he's the guy from Burnt Offerings. Oh, very good, very good. And he says Dub Taylor was the chauffeur, I believe. No, this I know Dub Taylor. He was a tall, lanky guy who wore sunglasses. He was blonde hair and had this like really sort of evil smile. Alicia Field says, "Hey Tug, I was watching some of your videos this afternoon. I hope I was in them." And Jay-Z says, "Honky Tonk Freeway was the best." A lot of people saying hello to one another. Tug says, I should make a video where I explain Lost Highway because I totally can't. Please do. Please do. I think I get most of it, but not all. Shona says the chauffeur Bird Offerings was in everything in the 70s and 80s. He was always the bad guy in Buck Rogers, every cop show, etc., etc., etc. Wake Up says Dub Taylor Was that the caretaker, not the chauffeur, the caretaker. Thank you. It's been years since I've seen that movie. Thank you for reminding me. Let's just see what else is going on. Indy says to wake up, thanks. I just remember him doing stuff. JC says message retracted, and message retracted to you too. Ziblik says, although not considered a failure, I always thought Pixota deserved more. Not familiar with it. Sorry. And Gary Carpenter says, starting to rain here again. Lynn says, Brogu could have been a mistake. Wake Up says, Dub Taylor was in Back to the Future 3, I also believe. Dub Taylor was in everything. Danny, he was in one of the movies, one of the more famous movies about Bigfoot. He played the father. These two guys are doing the mini documentary, and he plays the father of one of the guys who says he has information, and he's promised he'll tell the guys the story, but they have to promise not to bring it up in front of his wife because his daughter and son-in-law were killed by Bigfoot, and the guys slip and actually do bring it up in front of the wife, and she gets very mad at him. But that was Dub Taylor. It's probably his best performance, if you ask me. Just see what else we got going on here. David says Lawnmower Man was good. Haven't seen it in years, but I do recall it. Indy says looked it up. Anthony James was the chauffeur. Apparently, there we go. And Dan says Dub Taylor was in Back to the Future and Little House on the Prairie and the Hubba Bubba Gum commercial. Yes, he was. He played one of the townspeople in those very famous Hubba Bubba Bubblegum commercials. Look says Pixote is a chilling film about abuses and struggle for survival amongst Brazil's street children. Well, that sounds fun. Gary Cameron says Dan, he used to be on Hee Haw. Yes, he certainly was. Dan agrees with Gary, and Wake Up says Doc Brown and Biff were both in 2 movies together. Really? Cool fun fact. Hey, guys, it's after 8. Shall we start the trivia? Yeah, Yathra, start the trivia. Are you sure? I mean, I don't want to start the trivia. If you guys, no, I'll start the trivia. Well, if you insist. And Jibble says it's not science fiction. No, the trivia is not science fiction necessarily. What I did was I took some of the most underperforming movies in history, financial disappointments, death in the box office, that type of thing, and compiled them into 10 questions, which I shall now read in no particular order. What do you mean, nope? Zoop, yes, you do want to play this one. This one's going to be fun. And Gary Garber says, Dan, if I remember correctly, I think he was in Bonnie and Clyde. Oh, yes, Dub Taylor was in Bonnie and Clyde. He plays the kid who they pick up, who becomes one of their minions. It's the kid's father, I believe. Spoiler alert, I believe he's the one who actually betrays Bonnie and Clyde to the detective in the movie Bonnie and Clyde. And on that note, Wake Up says the answer is every movie with Pauly Shore. Ooh. I actually have a top 10 list of superfluous top 10 lists. And one of the most superfluous top 10 lists is a top 10 list of Pauly Shore films. Check out my top 10 list, by the way. I put a lot of work into those top 10 lists. They're mostly top 10 dad jokes, but there's some other fun stuff in there as well. So, Indy, speaking of playlist, check out my playlist on top 10 lists. 2. Oh, and Daryl Dunn says, Indy 5 isn't going to be an answer, is it? Hopefully not. But anyway, I'm going to start with number 10. This travesty is considered the least faithful adaptation of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers novel. Okay, so there's going to be some sci-fi in here. Is it A, The Invasion, B, the 1950s Invasion of the Body Snatchers, C, the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or Brain Eaters? Shana says, box office failure like Stacy Keach in The Night's Configuration, a.k.a. Twinkle Twinkle. Killer Kane, technically a sequel to The Exorcist. Exactly, yes. And I shall repeat. This travesty is considered the least faithful adaptation of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. A. The Invasion. B. The 1950s Invasion of the Body Snatchers. C. The 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Or D. Brain Eaters. Zublik said C because he's trying to hurt my feelings. And Tom the Hungry Jerk says hello. And I see a lot of answers here and people saying hello to Tom. And David says E. Roseanne Barr. And yeah, you just made it. You made it just in time. Tug says, try to sneak a Highland reference in there. Why not? Why not? Indy Spout says, gotta go with Invasion. They didn't even have pods for crying out loud. And Jonathan said the Cole Kidman movie. Yeah, it's Invasion. Okay, so most of you got it, except the ones who are trying to like be mean and say the 1978, which all right, it's not particularly faithful, but it's a great movie and it's reasonably faithful. The worst one is Invasion, and that also fits because bear in mind you have to think box office disasters. The 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers did well. Invasion bombed, absolutely bombed. So you use some strategy. Use some strategy here, folks. Number 9. This incoherent attempt to modernize the classic musical featured the Village People. Was it A, Xanadu, B, the pirate movie, C, Can't Stop the Music, or D, Grease 2? I shall repeat. This incoherent attempt to modernize the classic musical featured the Village People. A, Xanadu, B, the pirate movie, C, Can't Stop the Music, or D, Grease 2. Oh, I see. A lot of people picking A. And yes, that was a commercial bomb. And it was an incoherent attempt to modernize the old Bugsby Berkeley musicals. But it did not have the Village People. But a lot of you guys did get it. Yes, Can't Stop the Music featured the Village People. YMCA, among many others. Moving on to number 8. I'm going to get some responses to this. This canon redacting installment of the Star Trek franchise is considered the worst film of all time in the Star Trek universe. Is it A, Star Trek 2, B, Star Trek 4, C, Star Trek 5, or D, Star Trek 6? I shall repeat. This canon redacting installment of the Star Trek franchise is considered the worst film in the Star Trek universe. So does Ghostbusters. Pablo says, did you ever see Body Snatchers from 1993 with Gabrielle Adwar? It was a remake of Invasion. I did. And, I didn't think that one was as bad. I thought that one had its moments. I didn't think it was particularly good, but I did like that one. I should have made that one of the choices. I had to go with Brain Eaters. I love my Brain Eaters. But anyway, yes. Virtually all of you got this one. Although no, a couple of you did say D, number 6. No, number 6 isn't the worst. Number 5 is the one directed by William Shatner is considered the worst in the. In fact, there was an old. I mentioned this in one of my. You guys got to start doing your homework. You're watching my posts. I do a post on the Star Trek films, and it's an uncanny pattern. The odd numbered ones are not well received by and large, but the even numbered ones are very well received by and large. I mean, 1's not too bad. 3 is not particularly bad. They're just not as good as the others. 5 is terrible. But 2, 4, and 6 are universally loved. So anyway, the correct answer to that question was C, 5. I feel like I'm playing Battleship. Question. Yes, we're going to stop at 6 and get scores. Question 7. In the lead for most unnecessary sequels of all time, this film is also one of the most underperforming at the box office of all time. Is it A, Return to the Blue Lagoon, B, Return to Gilligan's Island, C, Return to Oz, or D, Return to the Planet of the Apes? I shall repeat. In the lead for most unnecessary sequels of all time, this film is also one of the most underperforming at the box office. A, Return to Blue Lagoon, B, Return to Gilligan's Island, C, Return to Oz, or D, Return to the Planet of the Apes. Denny says, I hate trivia. I'm very sorry. Oh, David says, Return to Sender. Very good. Dan says, Pippi Longstockings. Yeah, that movie was horrible. In this case, Return to Oz didn't do well. Return to Gilligan's Island was a TV movie. Return to Planet of the Apes, I believe, made its money back, but Return to the Blue Lagoon was a financial disaster. It was a financial disaster. It's one of the biggest money losing films of all time. So I'm going to skip down to number 6. This bomb, which I personally liked, was considered the worst adaptation of a Michael Crichton novel of all time. Was it A, The Andromeda Strain, B, Congo, C, The 13th Warrior, or D, Jurassic Park? And I shall repeat. This bomb, which I personally liked, was considered the worst adaptation of a Michael Crichton novel. A, Andromeda Strain, B, Congo, C, The 13th Warrior, or D, obvious answer, Jurassic Park. Yeah, I knew this one. It was down to 2. It was down to 2. And I'm seeing the 2 answers that I thought, I go, watch, this is going to be a battle. Tug says, yes, LOL, yes, Jurassic Park was a huge box office bomb, yes. Shannon says, AKA Waters of the Dead. Well, 13th Warrior was the Eaters of the Dead. Congo? The Congo River was the Waters of the Dead? Yes, Wake. Jurassic Park 2 was a letdown. I'll give you that one. Oh, no, Sean corrected himself. Eaters of the Dead. Yeah, I have the book. I love the book. I read the book in college. I love the book. But anyway, yes, it was actually the 13th Warrior. 13th Warrior, just horrible failure at the box office. And I'm not sure why. I didn't think it was bad. But it didn't do well in the box office. Pablo says, it blows my mind that the Grease director also directed Grease. It blows your mind that the Grease director also directed Grease? Okay. And he's about 13th Warrior should be correct. It is. Oh, Tom says, gotta go, breaks over. Okay, yeah, some of you are already getting scores. Yeah, let's get some scores now. Zublex is 3 for 5. Brogo is 3 for 5. Tug is 4 for 5. Gary Carper saying bye to HJ. Tom. Zublik says, I actually enjoyed Return to Oz. It didn't do well, but I liked it as well. I didn't think it was a bad movie. Dave got 3. Shannon says, yes, my damn autocorrect, LOL, it's killing me. I got to meet Crichton, gave him crap for name a character with my name in Rising Sun. Oh, Lisa Fields got all 5. Lisa, I'm very proud of you. Daryl Johnson got 3 of 5. Shannon's got 4 of 5. M.M. Miller says, goose egg. You'll do much better in the second half. Gary Cameron says, so did I. Zublik says, more faithful adaptation to the original material. Yeah, I'll buy that as well. Although I never read the Frank Baum book. Keithy is 3 out of 5. Del John says, dang, Lisa, you're doing good. She certainly is. And he says, Shotgun Congo before you gave the choices. but after you mentioned 13th Warrior, I'm 5 for 5. Okay. I'll give it to you. Or you'll give it to you. Everyone will give it to you. What do you mean says, what was the answer to the last one? The answer to the last one was, oh, no, it's still in my hand. The 13th Warrior. The 13th Warrior. I'm sorry. I thought I meant the 13th Warrior. And Pablo says, I meant to type that it blows my mind that Grease director also directed the Blue Lagoon. Ah, yes, that there you go. That clarifies. I figured it was something like that. Wake Up says the other guy in Rising Sun, he kept calling Kojaz in the book. I know he's Japanese, but still. Joe Jones says, I think Congo is the right answer. Believe it or not, a 30th Warrior was actually a bigger financial disappointment. Because remember, it has to be the biggest financial disappointment, not just a bad movie. And Dan says, Return to Oz and The Neverending Story were close to being bad together. And Teb is 2 for 5. What do you mean it's 2 for 5? Dan says Neverending Story 2. Doug says the Greasy Lagoon. Ew. Zublik says, wasn't Congo a hit? It may have performed well in the box office. It was panned by critics. It may have actually done okay, but 13th Warrior definitely did poorly. Now for the last 5. This downright gross negative grossing film was based on a series of trading cards. Was it A, Mars Attacks, B, Dinosaur Attack, C, Wacky Packs, or D, The Garbage Pail Kids? I shall repeat. This downright gross, negative grossing film was based on a series of trading cards. Was it A, Mars Attacks, B, Dinosaur Attacks, C, Wacky Packs, or D, Garbage Pail Kids? And literally everyone got this one. Doug just almost got me. Wake Up says, didn't Leah Thompson's husband direct Howard the Duck? Let's just say that would be a fitting punishment. Ooh. Oh, Lisa Field says she had the trading cards. But, yep, you got it. Yeah, KZ says Hungry Jerk would get this, right? He certainly would. Garbage Pail Kids. Number 4. Based on a much cooler comic book, this dumpster fire of a film is one of the biggest financial disappointments of all time. Is it A, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, B, Sin City, C, Tank Girl, or D, Howard the Duck? I shall repeat. Based on a much cooler comic book, this dumpster fire of a film is one of the biggest financial disappointments of all time. Is it A, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, B, Sin City, C, Tank Girl, or D, Howard the Duck? And speaking of Leah Thompson and Howard the Duck, yes, Howard the Duck. I believe it at one point was in the hole $50 million. It was something ridiculous. Moving on to number 3. Arguably the best worst film ever made. Plan 9 was originally entitled what? A, The Color Out of Space, B, Grave Robbers from Outer Space, C, Killers from Space, or D, Planet of Vampires? I shall repeat. Arguably the best worst film ever made. Plan 9 was originally entitled what? A, The Color Out of Space, B, Grave Robbers from Outer Space, C, Killers from Space, or D, Vampires from Outer Space? Danny says, I like that movie. Vampires was hot. She certainly was. And let's just see. Plan B from Outer Space. Ironically, it was B. B was the correct response. Yes, B. It was originally Grave Robbers from Outer Space, but the only people. Story goes, the only people they could find to invest was this church group. And because he pitched it to them as sort of this sort of very Christian leaning, Christian value film. And they go, we don't like the idea of grave robbers. It's that's very sacrilegious. So he goes, okay, I'll just call it Plan 9. But yeah, originally it was called Grave Robbers Run a Space. Number 2, this beloved holiday classic was actually a financial disappointment in its theatrical run. Was it A, Miracle on 34th Street, B, Babes in Toyland, C, Christmas in Connecticut, or D, It's a Wonderful Life? Zuper, were you paying attention to yourself? Oh, Tug says Ed Wood is great. Is a great movie about it well that was ironically a box office bomb. Very good point. Oh, did I repeat this? I'm gonna repeat it. I'm gonna repeat myself twice. This beloved holiday classic was actually a financial disappointment in its theatrical run. A, Miracle on 34th Street, B, Babes in Toyland, C, Christmas in Connecticut, or D, It's a Wonderful Life. Dennis Jen says, why do I keep getting the urge to time Gary out? um, After all my yapping, I didn't see Superplex. Of course, Superplex got it. He actually mentioned this earlier on, people. You got to pay attention to our friend Superplex. It was actually D. It's a Wonderful Life. It's not that it bombed; it just didn't do very well. But apparently, in the old days, copyright was not implicit. You had to file paperwork to get copyright on a film. And what had happened was the makers of It's a Wonderful Life didn't bother. So local TV stations started showing it all the time on the holidays because they didn't have to pay royalties for it. So they could afford to get the bigger holiday specials for prime time. So yeah, they started showing It's a Wonderful Life like routinely, and it became like a family tradition. But originally, it wasn't a big success in the. I guess I've heard that Jimmy Stewart didn't even particularly like the movie. And the number one question is: this steaming pile is considered one of the worst science fiction adaptations of all time. A Wrinkle in Time. B, Battlefield Earth. C, War of the Worlds 53. Or D, War of the Worlds 2005. I shall repeat. This steaming pile is considered to be one of the worst science fiction adaptations of all time. A Wrinkle in Time. B, Battlefield Earth. C, War of the Worlds 53. And D, War of the Worlds 05. Obviously, it's War of the Worlds 1953. I'm surprised no one said C just to hurt me. But yes, virtually all of you got it. Wrinkle in Time was kind of tragic as well, and the less said about the 2005 War of the Worlds is better. But the one that was the biggest commercial disappointment was Battlefield Earth. And those are my trivia questions for this eve. Oh, and now we have scores. Superplex got 8 out of 10. Outstanding Superplex. Other scores, please. Sean Innes says, LOL, Lisa Fields. Thrash? Uh-huh. Well, Sean, that was... I'm not sure what the context is. But Teb looks like, oh, he's saying B. Yes, there you go. Keithy got 6 out of 10. Brogu got 7 out of 10. Ken Wilkinson only got 1 out of 10. Well, better luck next time, pal. But thank you for playing. As Dave says, you just sort of played along. Dan says, trivia time. Which actor played in Bells of St. Mary and It's a Wonderful Life? The guy who played the uncle? I'm going to go with the guy who played the uncle. I can't think of his name to save my life. Emily got 2 for 10. You see, you did improve. Tug says, in the words of Dakota Fanning, yeah, she did nothing but scream that entire movie. Gave me a migraine. Johnny's got 9 out of 10. Excellent. What do you mean is 8 out of 10. Lisa Fields is 7. Excellent. Tug got 9 out of 10. Daryl Johnson got 7 for 10. Zuplex said message retracted. Message retracted to you as well. Dave got 6 of 10. What do you mean 7 of 10? What do you mean Got 1 of 7 of 10. So he's actually giving us the date of January 7th, 2010. I'm not sure what happened on that date, but unless he means um, 2110, which would be in about 87 years. Um, Dan says no. No. Teb got 8 for 10. Indy Spouts. Uh, Henry Travers and 10 for 10. And a Henry Travers and a 10 for 10 for you. Gary Carver says, Z, he wasn't in life. Shannon says, sorry, context thrash. You said you were surprised if anyone said C, and that was oh, okay. I just when I read it out loud, it came out in a very tacky manner, Sean. I'm sorry. At least I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. That makes much more sense. And yes, Lisa, I am sorry. War of the Worlds 1953 is actually, though not a particularly accurate adaptation of the H.G. Wells classic, it is an excellent interpretation. Whereas Wrinkle in Time, War of the Worlds 2005, and Battlefield Earth are considered dreadful. Tug says, good trivia, Thrash. Really like this one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What do you mean says, LOL, sorry. And he goes on to say 7 of 10. I like 1, 7, 10 better. Dan says, the guy that played the angel and the man wanting to tear down the school in Bells of St. Mary. Yes, sir, I'm with you now. And he says Henry Travers was the Bells of St. Mary, and It's a Wonderful Life, Thrash. I figured. I figured that you were doing a twofer. You were giving me your score and guessing for the Dan's trivia. And Lisa Field says, Sean, thanks. And China says, no, I'm having trouble typing tonight. And autocorrect is punishing me for it. We've all had that. We've with the autocorrect just hamstrings you. God knows I've been there. Blue says, what is your favorite box office bomb, T Pons? Dark City. Believe it or not, my favorite box office bomb would probably, speaking of Diane Lane, would probably be the Cotton Club. I love the Cotton Club. And at one point, it was one of the biggest financial disasters in American cinema. And I don't know why. It wasn't a fantastic movie, but I love the characters. I love period pieces, even ones that take liberty with the periods. I thought the music and dance was phenomenal. I love James Remar as Dutch Schultz. I love Dan Lane, period. Gregory Hines, again, we were talking about him earlier today, was amazing in it. And the movie bombed, and I don't understand. I saw it in the theaters. I loved it. So that's probably my best bomb at the box office. And Dan says yes to Indy. And so that is correct. And Teb says, thanks. Do you remember the short-lived but forgotten 1979/80s ABC sitcom created by Gary Marshall called Angie, about a blue-collar Philly waitress who fell up and ended up marrying a wealthy doctor? Yes, played by Robert Hayes, I want to say. I do remember that. I do remember that. I believe her mother was played by the mom and Everybody Loves Raymond. Yeah, a fun show, fun show. Wake Up says Ted Stryker was in it. Yes, Robert Hayes. Yes. Stryker. Oh, John H is here. Hey, John, when did you get here? Good to see you. I still remember Angie. It had a nice theme song, Different Worlds. Yes, they used to play it on the radio, actually, much like they did with Cheers when that came out. A lot of people like that song. Andy Spout says, had he gotten over Macho Grande yet? I can't tell you, that's classified. Shannon says, LOL, sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. It just made me laugh as your answer popped up right before Thrash said that. Love you, Lisa. Yes, we all love Lisa. And Wake Up says, I don't think I'll ever get over Macho Grande. Teb says, I was meant to say Fell for, not fell up. I figured it was something like that, but I read phonetically. Emma goes, Jenny says, yeah, good trivia. It only gave me half the headache Dave's trivia did earlier. Yeah, that one was tough. That was the last question. I completely misread it. Um, I thought the last one was that she said one of the thing that was not true was that she did her own stunts, and I'm like, of course she did. She was known for doing her own stunts. But if you had read the entire question, it was she refused to do her own stunts. So, but I still ended up getting 8 of 10. Dave says most of Adam Sandler films. Pablo says Angie had the worst TV theme song. Oh, really? I still have to see your podcast on TV theme songs. Johnny says Robert Hayes was Ted Stryker. He certainly was. He certainly was. He had for a while. He had a show on network TV where they would take footage of people having meltdowns on planes, and he hosted it. It was sort of like Airline, but just a little more modern. Dave says, "Love Happy Gilmore." I love Happy Gilmore. It's a guilty pleasure. It's very, very funny. Tug says he still has that drinking problem. Uh, Caroline Maloney says, I was eating dinner, but I actually knew some of the answers tonight. Well, give yourself whatever you think is fair. And I hope you enjoyed your dinner. Keely says, was Critters 2 a bad movie? I heard some things got shotguns in the beginning. I'm not sure. Tug says, the wings are that good, M. Oh, that's what it was. The wings, yes. Indy says, you just made me think of Donna Pescow for the first time in over 3 decades. Good luck falling asleep with that on your conscience. Hey, could be worse. I could bring up not Small Wonder. What was that short-lived TV show she did where she was the mother of an alien? One of you, I'm sure, will know. Feel free. Emily Miller says Emily's pocket said that. Oh, I see. Wake Up says William Shatner. They are blinking and flashing. I can't stand it anymore. The blinking and the flashing. Jonah says, wasn't Angie with that actress from Saturday Night Fever? Donna something. Yeah, that's Donna Pescow. Yeah, thank you, John H. Yeah, she was in Saturday Night Fever, yes. Tim says, what are your top 5 favorite songs from 1964? Your birth year. I was born in 67. And off the top of my head, I can't list them. You did that to me last time. I had to go back and rethink. I don't have a list of 1964's top 40. I'll have to get back to you, but I will. Because I do like music from that time period. Tug says Star Trek Enterprise had the worst theme song. It makes my ears bleed. Sublik says, wasn't Donna Pescow the girl? Get it? Yes. Yes. I'm going to stop right there, but yes, it was a very painful scene in the movie. Tug says, what do you have in your pocket that's making the noise, M? Wake Up says, yes, Zuper. Yes, the 21 Club. Wake Up says, out of this world. I knew one of you would get it. John H. 2 of you got it. Excellent. Out of this world. Shannon says, thanks. Gary Carpenter and Zuplex. Yes, she was the. Yes, we all know what happened in the movie, guys. John H. says, Burt Reynolds was the voice of her alien husband. Yes, Donna Pescow's alien husband. Yes. Good catch. Tug also knew out of this world. Very good, very good. Johnny says, happy belated birthday, Thrash. Thank you. Thank you very much. Although birthday stopped being fun about 30 years ago. But thank you. I appreciate that. And Wake Up says Burt Reynolds was her dad's voice on the pyramid. Yeah, that device thing she used to talk to him with. And Gary Carpenter says the Green Hornet movie was a stinker. Yeah, it was death in the box office. Tab says the younger sister on Angie was played by the late, great Deborah Lee Scott of Police Academy. Welcome back, Cotter. Mary Hartman, and game show fame. Oh, yes, I remember she also Love Boat. She did a lot of stuff back in the 70s. But yeah, I remember her best from Welcome Back, Cotter is Hotsy Totsy. Tim says 1967. Sorry, wrong year. Oh, close enough. And Wake Up says Donna Pescal said she gained like 30 pounds for the movie. I did not know that. I did not know that. What means is happy belated birthday. Thank you very much. And any other movies that bombed that you folks liked? I know there's plenty of them out there. Um, feel free to enter to the record. Look, 420 is here. It says, good evening, glad I made it. So glad you could as well, by the way. Welcome to the party. And he's about says, Thrash, I'm proud of you for doing a movie flop quiz and not including the adventures of Pluto Nash. People just love to be mean to that movie, you know? And I'm like, yeah. And Shannon says, hey, I didn't say what happened. LOL points at Superplex. Oh, and Tab says, happy belated birthday, Thresh. Thank you. Keithy says, 64 would make him a baby boomer. Oh, yeah, I'm actually a Gen Xer. I have a cousin who's a few years older than me who is technically a baby boomer, but I am a Gen Xer. And Wake Up says, we won't talk about the Deborah Lee Scott on the game show or Pascal in the car. Well, we can. I just think we don't necessarily need to. Zublik says Hearts of Fire. That TV show that's ringing a bell. A lot of people saying hello to 420, and a hello to 420 as well. Oh, Tug says Leonard Part 6. Yeah, Bill Cosby actually started telling people to not go see it. Apparently, his idea, what he says is the movie looked great on paper. For some reason, it just didn't pull together. But of course, by that point, the movie had already been canned, and he didn't have any um, really way of stopping it. Ghost Dad, I don't know how that could have looked good. Ghost Dad was just deplorable. It would have made a good Saturday Night Live sketch, but not a full movie. Shona says action. Johnny says I don't think of 1964 being part of the baby boom. Someone once wrote that if you can't remember the JFK assassination, you're not really a boomer. Well said. Well said. Really says that movie sucked. Caroline Maloney says hello 420. Keely says, so was Gary Berghoff in a movie or a band with Linda Carter? I thought that had to be not true. He was in a band. He played a drummer. He played the drums in a band. And if I remember correctly, Linda Carter, who had a beautiful voice, actually, was a singer. I believe there was some connection. At one point, they actually recorded something together, so that qualified as true. But yeah, that she refused to do her stunts was the fault. She actually did do her own stunts. Wake Up says, cue the Cosby jokes. Tim says, do you remember this Bridget Loves Bernie with pre-Family Ties, Beth Baxter and David Bernie Baxter, then future ex-husband? It had huge ratings, but CBS canceled it after one season due to controversy. There's a bell ringing in my head. This was after she was on Family, because she was on Family too. She played the older sister, I want to say. Mike and Kathy says, why does everyone dislike dislike Spaceballs? It's not that I dislike it. I felt it couldn't have come out at a worse time. It came out 10 solid years after Star Wars. The Star Wars jokes were kind of stale at that point. If it had come out a few years later, it could have ridden the crest of the new franchise movement. I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. It certainly had its moments, but it was just a rehash of a bunch of Star Wars jokes. And then again, by 1987, we're getting tired. But and also, by the way, thanks for making it. By the way, Mike and Kathy, you guys are always welcome. But it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I think it was poorly timed. Gary Carter says Keith E. He was on an episode of Wonder Woman. Oh, was that what it was? Okay. Eddie Spell says my guilty movie bomb pleasure is Crawl. Do you know that the princess in that is in the music videos for Bryan Adams? The really cute girl that sort of crushes on him. Tug says, who dislikes Spaceballs? You see? Indy's Bot says, wow, nice timing, Tug. John H says, sometimes Radar played drums on MASH. He did. He did a few times. He was actually a drummer. He actually was making a living as a drummer afterwards. Wake Up says he played the drums on MASH season 4, I think. Johnny remembers the Burning movie, a TV show rather. Ken Wilkins says, Bob, what do you think of the movie A Few Good Men? I thought it was solid. 426 Baseballs is great. John H says BLB was 72 before Family. Oh, okay, then I'm thinking of something else then. Because I guess I don't remember it. I'm sometimes I confuse shows over the years, or I might be thinking of an episode of Family and thinking it was that BLB. Pablo says with you, Thrash. Thank you. Tug says Sahara. I'm assuming you don't mean the 1940s Humphrey Bogart Sahara. I'm assuming the 2005 name only remake. Karen Lee Maloney says I remember Bridget Loves Bernie. It was pretty good. Johnny says Meredith Baxter's mom played Mrs. B on Hazel. Oh, I did not know that. And when she was Mrs. Baxter in real life, though divorced from her Mr. Baxter by then, and he says, I didn't get the hate for the John Carter. It was fine. Keithy says Linda Carter was doing her own stomp on the bottom of the helicopter, and they freaked out when they found out she did it. I never heard that. Wow. And Tug says, and it's not her real voice in Kroll. She was dubbed. You told me that. Yeah, that was on your retrospect of it. I never knew that. And Mike and Kathy says, best original, worst reboot, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Could not agree with you more. Okay, Carver says it's Linda Carter, not Linda Carter. Gotcha. And Whiteman says, I agree with Gary Carpenter. Tab says, what about the short-lived Happy Days spinoff? Do you think was the worst? Polanski's Beauty is Out of the Blue or Joni Loves Chachi? They're all pretty dreadful. Probably Blansky's Beauties, but they're all really dreadful. Indy Spout says, wasn't her voice and curl done by Lindsay Krause? I'll have to take your word on that. Keith says Gary Berghoff had serious problems with his right hand. Yeah, he has a crimped hand. That's why in the show he always had like a clipboard or something. Keithy's Gary Cameron says Keithy, he didn't know that. China says, I like Night Moves Superplex. To my mind, it's such a 70s movie. Really like Gene Hackman. Wake Up says, wow, Linda Krause getting a mention. Gary Cameron says, I really like Willow. I tried so hard to like that movie, and I'm not sure why I didn't. I don't know if it was missing something. I don't know if it was just I know it was an homage, but it was almost like just one cliche too many. I'm not sure. But I really tried to like Willow. Willow was like made for me, and that's probably why I didn't like it. I think it was maybe, I don't know, like they were trying too hard. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of people do like it. Zublik says yes. There were many classic films from the 70s. Wake Up says Linda Krause and Joe Montana in the House of Games. Great con film. I love the House of Games. I love the House of excellent film. Oh, Tug says Enemy Mine, which is held in the Pacific, set in space. Johnny says Gary B had a short fingers on his left hand. This can be seen in the pilot where he's holding a football in his hand. Gotcha. And let's see. Keithy says, I truly know how little it's amazing sometimes when you know something. Oh, please, Keith, you know more than I do. Shana says, to Wake Up. Yes, House of Games is good, really good Mehmet. Lots of great lines. And the first time I really noticed Joe Montana. Yeah, it's a great movie. Um, William H Macy has a small part. He plays the Marine in uh the place where you get the money wired to you, Western Union. Uh, Gary Garber says Zach, the Power Rangers only has four fingers on one hand. Well, I did not know that. I did not know that. Tug says it's infinitely better than the Willow Disney Plus series that has been memory hold. Zublik says I enjoyed the set 1970s because films were really dark, and that reflects my temperament. Mike and Kathy liked Enemy Mine. I did too. Louis Gossett Jr. was amazing in it. Shannon says Lindsay Krause was so cute in Slapshot. Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay, she was in Slapshot. I completely forgot that. Yes, she was. Indy Spout says House of Games. Actually, pretty much every Mammoth film rocks. He then goes on to say he was also the shoveler. Okay. And Tug says the Spanish Prisoner might be my favorite Mammoth film. Steve Martin was absolutely amazing in that movie, and I didn't expect him to be. It didn't strike me as a part that he would shine in, but I thought he did really, really well. And China says Macy is definitely a Mammoth uh, actor. There was a blurb over. I couldn't read the whole thing. And Daryl Johnson says, "Did you know George Lindsay was considered to play Spock?" I did know that. I did know that. And Wake Up says, "Yeah, William H Macy, riddled of line after line in an indie movie called Oleana. The movie wasn't so great, but Macy was amazing. I like William H Macy." And Indy Spout says William H Macy played the shoveler in Mystery Men Thrash. Okay, yeah, his weapon was the shovel. I did see it. It just didn't click. I think I was still thinking David Mamet. And Keithy says the Power Ranger has nightmares from some guy she went to high school with. In case any of you don't know, I've only mentioned this about 4 times. The Pink Ranger and I went to high school together. I was a couple years ahead of her. Didn't really know her. I think we had a couple mutual friends, but we did go to school at the same time. And we're coming up on the hour and a half mark, so I'm gonna start winding things up. Any last minute points you folks want to get rid of the record? Please do. I want to thank you all for joining, as always. It's been a lot of fun. I really had fun with this one. Not sure what the theme of next one's going to be. No show tomorrow, I'm afraid, guys. Just Mondays have been kind of tricky for me lately. I'm a tad overscheduled, so this is my only show. As you guys have seen, though, I did put out as promised. I put out a new content. It was on Day of the Triffids, and I will have another content post at some point this week. And Teb says the late Michael he just jumped there. Pataki. Count Maliachi on the Happy Days was the voice of George Liquor in the controversial episode of Ren and Stimpy. Oh, I never knew that. I never knew that. More cowbell, please. Thank you. And Gary Carpenter heard about Linda doing her own stunts. Tug says the box office is not necessarily a reflection of movies' quality. That is all that needs to be said. Well said. Well said. There are some excellent movies that bombed, and some terrible movies that did very, very, very well. Oh, Indy Spot says thanks for the trivia. You're very welcome. And Kenneth Wilkinson says good night to Emily. Caroline Maloney says thanks. Thrash, you are so welcome. Thank you for joining us. Wake Up says 2 of Tony's friends in Saturday Night Fever were both in another movie soon after called Voices. I did not know that. Danny says, happy trails, Pawns. Danny, thanks so much for joining us. Happy trails to you as well. Shannon says, I went to high school with John Savage's daughter, Jenny Youngs, who did a lot of episodes of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. she was pretty annoying. And Doug says good night, all good night. Basically, good night to everybody. Yes, happy live stream to all, and to all a good night. So yeah, so I will definitely have another content post out sometime this week, and we're still on for next Sunday, although I'm not sure what the theme is. Maybe it'll have a theme, maybe it won't. Haven't quite decided. But anyway, until next week, be good, be safe, be careful. And oh, Emily Miller says I didn't interact much tonight. I'll make up for the next time. You interacted in just the right amount. You were eating your wings, and I'm glad you enjoyed them. Uh, Wake Up says great discussion tonight. Thank you, and please keep coming to see us. By the way, had a great time. Zublik says baseball. I'll see what I can do. 420 says thank you for the stream. 420, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. And everybody's trying to console Emily because she feels she wasn't interactive enough. Emily, you're always great. You're always welcome. You're always fun to have with us. And uh, again, don't be self-conscious. But anyway, thank you all, and to all a good night. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.